Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
Alon! This would never happen to you because you're great at what you do. You're a great broadcaster. But let's just say hypothetically that you were fired during a broadcast. Would you finish said broadcast?
I think you have to. And I think you also, knowing me, and God, I hope this never happens. And it won't. It won't happen. Knock on wood if you're with me. But I would want to do, if I was getting, especially for something like if I just sucked or something and I got fired, I would want to do what Tom Brenneman did in terms of saying, I'd like to apologize to the people who signed my checks.
Make sure you clarify when you say, like, I want to do what Tom Brenneman did.
No. Not the first, not the part that got him fired.
Yeah.
But the other part where he was telling people, I'd like to apologize to my bosses at Fox who signed my checks. I think that's hilarious.
Right.
But no, I think you got to finish the broadcast. Now, if you get fired and it's like a leadership butting of head type thing,
yeah,
I think it would be very funny to walk off the job.
Oh, I love that in local broadcasting. Whenever you see like a live news moment where you ever see that clip of the woman on the news, local news, and she just goes, "You know what? I'm quitting my job. I'm going into medicinal marijuana, and fuck it, I quit." And then it pans to the other woman on the broadcast. She goes, "Well, we wish her all the best, and we'll be right back. Actually, we're staying here. Oh God, like she has no idea what to say." So those moments are fantastic. Actually, props to Ray Woodson. Just a little story here. When I was working at 95.7 The Game, Ray Woodson was on KMBR Sports Phone for years. Mm-hmm. Got fired from KMBR and then went to 95.7 for a little bit of time. He has one of my favorite moments, walk-off moments in the history of radio, where he worked with us for a little bit of time. Really nice man, really good broadcaster. And he was working on the weekends. I remember Elena texted me, our good friend Elena Madzorkis. She texted me saying, "I just did a weekend show with Ray Woodson. He quit live on the air." And I was like, no way. And he went into this whole thing about how radio's changed. He's not digging it anymore. He's going to turn in his key card. And I was like, that's so badass. I envy that. I wish I had the power to just walk off and, like do the job, but also like just quit on the spot. That's amazing. So the reason I asked this is because about a couple hours ago, Ryan Clark, it was announced that he has been fired from ESPN. There's going to be massive layoffs. And it's sad when all this stuff happens. I'm very sympathetic to this in our industry because God knows I went through this a couple of years ago. I benefited from it, unfortunately. Never want to see Tom Tolbert let go, but that's how I got my gig, and that's just how things happen. And you never want to see that. You never want to see someone fired because the industry is dying. But that's what's kind of happening across every media platform. ESPN, with the merger of NFL Network, you're going to see some people laid off tomorrow. And Ryan Clark was one of those casualties. Now, ESPN decided to fire him during a live broadcast of NFL Live today, hence the name. And they didn't want him to find out via social media. So they decided that during the broadcast, during commercial break, they were going to tell him, "You're out." And they pulled him off the last 10 minutes of the show. Meanwhile, they repurpose a lot of takes and clips that he had today on social media, on their SportsCenter account or their NFL Live account after he was let go today. Now, however you feel about Ryan Clark, and I have my opinions about him, and I'll share them in a little bit here, but that's a dick move, in my opinion. You don't fire somebody during a show. Like, I've seen it happen in radio. I think Michelle Beadle, when she found out that she was going to be let go when Stephen A. Smith was taking over her time slot on Mad Dog Radio, she and her co-host did their radio show that day and started off the show by saying, "How do we handle this? Should we let the audience know? Like, we're done. Today's our last show." And I think they were pulled off the air. I think like the PD or whatever came in mid-segment and was like, "Guys, just leave then. Like, if this is going to happen, like, just leave." But for Ryan Clark to do a live national show and be told in the middle of it, "You're done," that's rough. So I am sympathetic towards that. Like that should never happen where, yeah, you could be, mindful that he's going to find out on social media, but to do it while the show's going on, you could easily just tell him once the broadcast is over, this is it, pal. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's not because of the work you do. It's just because of the way that the network is going. So, yeah, people are reacting to that on social media right now, and I think that was handled piss poor.
Yeah, I don't understand it. And you're right. I should clarify about the Tom Brenneman thing. I think it's hilarious that he decided to keep calling the game. That's the part I'm talking about, not the other stuff.
I'm with you.
With Ryan Clark, I don't understand because I saw I didn't watch NFL Live today, but I did. Yeah. I did read the article and I saw a few of the clips that they had put out, repurposing what he had said. I don't understand why they didn't fire him the day before. Like that's such standard or not the day before the show happens. That's such standard practice. Like in radio, for instance, generally it is a very stupid idea to let someone go on who knows they're either being fired or being let go. So because it's just too unpredictable. So you get rid of someone before they're going to go on air. I don't understand that. I do know that, Ryan Clark has to realize that, look, they just don't have enough money to pay me. And he was making what, $2 million or something like that, Derek? I mean, he was making a nice chunk of change to be on ESPN.
Quite a bit.
I like Ryan Clark and what he offers that show. I like him on his podcast too. I think he's interesting there on some of the clips I've seen, but he just, look, they're going cheaper. I think ESPN is doing this thing where either they're going extremely cheap, right, to fill people in, or the people who are going to be there are going to be the heavy hitters like the Pat McAfees of the world, who they will keep paying all that money and they want to skimp on everything else. I mean, that's the way it is. And when you do this merger with NFL Network and you keep these insiders who are making millions of dollars, Ryan Clark, even though I think he's fun to watch and I think he offers good things, they're not going to keep him. They're going to get someone else cheaper. And if they want another former player, they'll get one who's just starting and they'll pay them a lower rate and then cycle through that way. So I don't know. I bet ESPN, I don't know why they did that. Just fire him before the show starts.
Yeah, I might have a little delay here. I apologize, guy. We haven't done the show in 10 days, and I'm already having technical difficulties. And I changed my internet. And let me know if things are getting too fucked up, Alon. But yeah, just cut me off. But while we were talking, John Curley, my man, we used to work together at 90, or all three of us used to work together at 95.7, the game producer of Murph and Marcus on KMBR. He just literally texted me while we're having this conversation. An article from Awful Announcing saying ESPN and NFL Network are set for another round of layoffs Tuesday, and it sounds like they're getting ready for the Pat McAfee deal. So he's going to make a lot of money, and that's going to impact the rest of the station. Yeah, I mean, they probably should have let him go before the show today. That's probably hard to, maybe it's hard to replace him. It's different than, I've done this so many times on radio, and it's unfortunate where the PD plans for this to happen. He calls the fill-in guys and says, "Hey, get ready to fill in later today," and then the host is then let go, and that's always a hard situation for them because obviously the audience is like, well, "Why is that person filling in?" With NFL Live, it interchanges every day, so it wouldn't be that big of a deal if Ryan Clark wasn't on the broadcast today. But yeah, as far as Ryan Clark, he'll be fine. I think that he's carved his own path outside of ESPN with the Pivot podcast. So I think that he'll be fine on his own platform. As far as him as an analyst, he was kind of hit or miss with me. I think that he brought up really good points, insightful points at times, but also I thought that he just wanted to, I don't know, cause commotion for the sake of causing commotion. I thought that he years ago they brought back Inside the NFL, and he was the host of that show with Chris Long and Bill Belichick and Chad Johnson, and he handled that pretty well. But as far as his opinions, like, I don't know, I didn't care for when he called out Peter Schrager, I think just a couple months ago, where he said, like, "You never played the game before. What do you know?" Live on the air. I thought his comments towards Robert Griffin III, and you can, think what you want about RG3. He says a lot of stuff that annoys me, but I thought his comments when they were going through their beef were really inappropriate. He just kind of, has crazy opinions sometimes. But then again, like as Rocca New Era says, we've known for years, maybe over a decade, that ESPN has no credibility or has no credibility or respect anymore. And I only like a handful of people on that network, to be honest. Like, Dan Orlovsky, I think that, yes, some of his takes are a little over the top. Like some people say that maybe he was influenced by his, I guess, his connection to Ty Simpson. Maybe that's why he was saying that Ty Simpson's a better prospect than Fernando Mendoza. But at least he breaks it down. I think Peter Schrager is a really good insider. I guess he doesn't break news, but he has a connection to Sean McVay, and he has a lot of insight that a lot of people don't have. There's a lot of people on there. I'm not a big Marcus Spears guy. Say what you will about, I'm trying to think of other people on there. Matt Hasselbeck's all right. The bottom line is ESPN just doesn't have a lot of great talent. And now that they have NFL Network, they might start mixing and matching a lot more personalities. Tom Pelissero, I think, did some hits for Get Up. So I don't know. I think that Ryan Clark will be fine. He'll do his own thing. I personally, this is just me, won't miss him on ESPN. But then again, it's not like I'm watching ESPN that much these days. I'll catch the Pat McAfee show when Adam Schefter or Ian Rappaport goes on because they have information. And sometimes it's just the same regurgitated bullshit over and over and over again. That's what it was this past week when people were trying to give their takes on Aaron Donald. As Rocca New Era says here in the chat, PTI is the only show I find responsible on ESPN. Yes, I felt that way for years. I love PTI. I don't watch it as much. I got over Around the Horn a long time ago. So I don't know. The bottom line is I don't watch a lot of ESPN, so this really doesn't affect me. But I don't like the way this was handled today with Ryan Clark being told mid-live show, hey, you're done. And he has to leave 10 minutes before the show goes off the air.
Yeah, it's just bad. It's a wrong way to handle it. I don't know why they handled it the way they did. And it's just a bad look, too. I mean, you're just putting it out there for everybody that you're in the business now of trying to cut as many costs as possible while paying fat contract to Pat McAfee that's coming up. And credit to Pat McAfee. He deserves it. He has saved that network. Him and Nick Saban, for instance, saved College Game Day. I've heard other people say that, and I agree with it. At first I was like, well, Nick Saban, he was a little stiff at first, but I always loved Nick Saban. And then Pat McAfee injected a whole new life into that show. The other thing is Stephen A. Smith, he's still a big draw, but they're getting away from that era. They're not getting away from the era of hot takes and sensationalism, but getting away from the era of him being the leading man on that network. And so I guess this is kind of part of that. It's like, hey, we got to cut costs because we got this show over here that dominates everything. I mean, Pat McAfee, think about the value that he offers that network. So if that's the difference in getting him more money is firing Ryan Clark, then I guess it's the right decision, but they just handled it wrong.
No, I agree. I totally understand that. And Ernie One in the chat here says, Derek, Around the Horn was canceled. I'm well aware, Ernie. I know. I just like I wasn't with that show well before the cancellation. Yes, I watched it for years, and I like some of the personalities, but then it became too preachy to me after a while. And I was like, what happened to this whole thing of Tony Reale? I think he's a great personality. He's been great on television, whether he was Stat Boy on PTI to then hosting Around the Horn. But it became a point where he wanted to let everybody know his takes, and I just wanted him to get to the scoring system of all the sports writers that were on the show. It was a fun show, but I'll be honest, I don't miss it. When PTI goes off the air, I think it will be probably for the best, but I will miss Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon. Just your opinion, man. Alon to say, Derek Papa, we're coming to you on a Monday night for the first time in 10 days. Alon, what you been up to these last 10 days? I went on vacation to Houston. Not a lot has gone on. We're still waiting on LeBron and all that bullshit. A lot of World Cup we could get to, but what have you been up to these last 10 days?
Watching World Cup. I'm right there with you, rocking real quick. I stopped watching Around the Horn when Max Kellerman stopped doing it. I watched the first few years with Reale, but I've always been a Kellerman guy. And I slowly faded out of Around the Horn. But in terms of what I've been doing, watch a lot of World Cup. That's pretty much it. Did some work, did some work that I've been doing, working on a project, and then I had my air conditioning start to fail in my apartment, so that was really fun. So I had to call maintenance. That was cool. Las Vegas heat with no AC is not fun, even if it's only for 10 hours. The last time this happened to me, I was in an old apartment 2 apartments ago. AC went out, and I was in the process of moving. So I ended up having to go to a hotel to like stay the night because it was so bad. It was a 110 outside. But then the other thing I had to do today was take my car in to get the AC recharged on that. So that's pretty much for 10 days, Derek. I've been doing things that I have been putting off for a while. That's what I did. For 10 days without you, I got my life together.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And man, AC problems are no bueno. And that's maybe why I'm having a little glitchy problems with the internet tonight, because it's a little hot here in the East Bay. But it was hot in Houston. I went to go see my mom, and I'll just say this: people gave me a lot of shit for seeing my mom in Houston and my little brother longer than when I went, the time I spent in Italy. I will always spend more time with my family than going to Italy. Italy was a beautiful place, and I hope to spend more time there. But look, I love my mom, and if I've learned anything in the past year with my father's illness, it's to cherish your parents as much as possible. So I'm going to see my mom as much as possible. I see her 3 times a year, and yeah, I'm going to go visit her for a week in Houston, and I had a great time. It was humid, hot, stanky, whatever you want to call it. It was wet also. It rained a little bit. But I had a good time. And we went to restaurants. I got to watch some shows and some movies. I'll review a lot of stuff. We're going to do another show tomorrow because we haven't been on for quite some time, Alon. So I want to do an extensive, I guess, pop culture catch-up tomorrow, where we'll go through the Netflix quarterback show. And I saw the Odyssey. I saw somebody in the chat here say, Ernie One says, I watched the Odyssey twice. I watched it once. I'll do a whole breakdown of it tomorrow. But yeah, I had a good time. Watched a lot of the World Cup. I actually traveled back during the final yesterday when Spain and Argentina were battling it out. Watched the first half while I was, waiting for my flight. And then I was wondering, am I going to be able to watch the second half on the plane? Sure enough, I was able to. United had the full broadcast, so that was awesome. But I missed the halftime show. And apparently people are up in arms about that today, where, who was it? Justin Bieber, Madonna, Shakira, and the Muppets performed. So I've only seen a little bit of... Oh, and BTS, of course. I only saw a little bit. I saw the Muppets perform White Stripes, Seven Nation Army. And I guess, it was not a lot of Muppets. It was Dr. Teeth Animal and is it Mr. Teeth or Dr. Teeth?
I don't know, but Animal was there, and I think Kermit made an appearance. I think there were even some Sesame Street characters.
Nice. It's just a missed opportunity for me when you're going to have the Muppets perform in the World Cup. You got to have Rainbow Connection. You got to have Kermit out there with a banjo. Why? Or there's so many songs about rainbows, even the Muppet Show theme song. But as far as the game itself, Alon, we haven't. I mean, it's been a really slow time at sports, so that's why you and I haven't done a show. Like I had my laptop with me, I had my portable microphone, and I was ready to go live once LeBron signed or anything new with Aaron Donald. But nothing really happened besides the games. But I knew that we would have time to break it all down. And I want to get your thoughts on yesterday's match. We can talk about some of the other matches that we missed in the 10 days that we've been not doing this thing. But just your thoughts on yesterday's victory for Spain. I won $140 in my KMBR pool. Had Spain as one of my 6 teams, so happy about that. But just your thoughts on yesterday's match where I guess you can say in a 1-0 victory for Spain, Spain dominated Argentina thoroughly.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for, all day basically, and yesterday during the game as well, because knowing we were going to do a podcast and having to talk about this, I was trying to think of a comparison to an American sport or an American league where you have a game that is 1-0 or something very low scoring where one team just wins by the thinnest of margins, but it's complete domination. And we don't really have that in our team sports. Like, for instance, in football, if you dominate the game yardage-wise, you're probably going to score a lot of points. if you dominate the game offensively in any kind of meaningful way in basketball, you're going to score a lot of points. Same thing. You're going to have a lot of runs in baseball. I mean, there are times where you get a lot of hits, but maybe you only win 1-0, but you didn't. That doesn't show that you dominated. It actually shows that you kind of screwed up by letting the other team off the hook. So the closest thing I could think of to it in terms of just sports that, more Americans watch than soccer was fighting. Sometimes you see this in combat sports, whether it's mixed martial arts or whether it's boxing. Boxing, I think, is an easy comparison. It's like being in a 12-round fight and someone just utterly dominates you for 12 rounds and you lose every round on the scorecards. That is what happened to Argentina yesterday. And it was crazy because there were moments there, especially at the end, where, going up a man really helped Spain a lot. They would have won that game no matter what. But there were moments where I was watching thinking, man, if Spain dominates this game the way they are. I mean, they completed, I'm looking at the stats right now, 803 passes. It's just absolutely insane. And I know they play tiki-taka kind of style football, but they're also very direct now too. They don't just pass it around. They also go on the attack and pass over the top. But the way they played, I was wondering, man, if they are not able to get a goal and this goes to penalties and they lose, that'll be so heartbreaking for them because, I mean, Argentina didn't have a shot on goal basically during the entire amount of regulation. They had trouble getting past the midfield line. Messi was, I'm not going to say a shell of himself, but he was taken out of the game just strictly from formation and good marking as well. I don't agree with the tactics. At first, I'm both sides on this, Derek. The tactics that Argentina employed, in one sense, I did want to see them really go for it in terms of trying to open things up. But I think they realized they can't do it, and they would have lost like 3-0 maybe if they did. So they tried really hard to play really good defense, not get scored on, rode their goalie, and they did a good job of it, and they tried to get the penalties. I think that was the only strategy that they could have employed to get them to that point, and it almost worked. It almost got them to a penalty shootout. Instead, they lose 1-0 because Ferran comes in, and he's just amazing. To be able to bring him and Pedri off the bench is insane. But Spain just dominated, and I want to get your opinion on it, Derek, because like I said, the only thing I could think of is I thought of maybe Larry Holmes when he was a heavyweight, but it's heavyweight boxing. I thought of maybe Floyd Mayweather Jr., where he would have fights that were 12 rounds and he could just dominate from round 1 to round 12 and, really never give the other team a shot. I mean, what do we have that's close to this in our American sports leagues, Derek, where a team dominates so thoroughly but wins on the scoreboard by the skin of their teeth? We don't really have that.
I would say your comparison to boxing is appropriate because you could dominate, but it won't show in the same way. Now, of course, boxing is scored a different way. It's really by judgment and by shot, punches landed and everything. But that's tough for me to say because I'm not a soccer guy. Now, did I thoroughly enjoy this tournament? Absolutely. And I'll compare things to football because that's what I know. But I texted you this after Argentina beat England, and shout out to our guy Stephen Langford. I texted him after that loss. That was brutal. When England, it felt like they dominated for most of that game, and then kind of went into prevent mode, and lost that game 2-1. Did it? And let me know if this is a good comparison. Did it feel like Argentina was kind of like the 2024 Kansas City Chiefs, where they won a lot of close games and pulled wins out of their ass, and were benefiting from having the best player in the world, and then they actually played a really good team, a team that's maybe better than them, top to bottom, and got dominated when it mattered most?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect analogy. When you said that, I was like, wow, that is exactly what they're doing. I mean, not only are they pulling the magic out of their behind, but also then they run into an absolute buzzsaw for them, not just stylistically, but talent-wise, physical, all those things. And they couldn't get by them. And what they had to do, and I'm not going to call it anti-football or anything like that, but what they had to do was play a style of football that was very, very conservative in terms of creating offensive scoring chances and very, very tough and gritty and borderline, mean maybe dirt. Some people said dirty. I didn't really. There wasn't a whole lot dirty except for after the game. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
the Kansas City Chiefs of that year, when they were pulling out all those miracle victories, and then they got their wake up call. They lost on Christmas Day to the Raiders. Aiden O'Connell beat them. And then that's when I knew I went, this is not a good team in terms of winning a Super Bowl. And my sister actually used that in her calculus to bet the Eagles. The only bet she's ever placed. But yeah, nice. It's a great comparison, Derek, because that's what Argentina was doing all tournament. They had the best player in the world who could bail them out at any point, or one of the best players in the world who could bail them out at any point. And they were a team of destiny in some ways, and they were trying to become, the second ever team to go back to back. Yeah. And they just weren't able to do it. They ran into a team that was better than them not just on that day, would have been better than them maybe 8 or 9 times out of 10. And Argentina is a great team. That just shows you how good Spain is. But I see Ernie says 2000s Ravens. I thought about that too, Ernie, but the Ravens did not dominate offense. Like, they dominated defensively, and they had a lot of short fields and things like that, which are things that do happen in football, right? And they happen in American football as well.
But hold on, Alon. Is Alon saying that because Spain only allowed 1 goal the entire tournament?
He could be saying that. And if that's true, then yeah, that part of it definitely does resonate, because the defense does. But it's this other quality of, keeping the ball and being constantly threatening with it, even if you're only winning 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, whatever, right? That's what Spain does. And their system it works so well. It's not going to change. Other teams are probably going to try to emulate them. Everybody tries to emulate that style, but it's hard to accomplish. And Spain's just really good. And they've been on a run of dominance, Derek. Like, what they've done is more impressive than what Argentina had done when they won the World Cup 4 years ago, because Argentina had won the Copa America and the World Cup. And Spain has won a Euro, a Nations League, Olympics, World Cup. This is amazing. And you got guys like Lamine Yamal who are about to be in their freaking prime, which is scary.
So, my little brother, Nick, who's a big time soccer fan, was rooting for Argentina because he thinks Messi is the greatest athlete of all time. And then I was texting Steven. He thinks Argentina was going to win, even though he thought Spain was the more talented team just because of Messi. I hate to ask this question because I hate it when it's, this question is asked across sports. It's a very ESPN question. How do you think this impacts Messi's legacy, I guess? Or I should say maybe more how his career ends, because how old is he, Alon? 39 years old?
Yeah, he's 38, 39. So, if he did want to play in another World Cup, Argentina would totally let him, but he'd be 42. So, and the ending shot there at the end of the game, after the game was over and he was crying, he didn't look defeated, but he looked like a guy who went, man, that was the last one, in terms of putting on that shirt. But what does it mean for his legacy or the impact?
Not even legacy, because people are going to say he's still the greatest, but do you think this motivates him to come back? Because the next World Cup at 2030 is going to be in Argentina, correct?
No, it's going to be, I believe, Portugal, Morocco, and Spain. Unless I'm in. Well, there are going to be some opening games, though, in Argentina, as well as some of the other South American countries. That is true.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, no, I shouldn't, like, as far as what you think, how this will motivate him, like, going into it, you sent me the photo. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the player. Who's Spain's best player?
That's Lamine Yamal. So he's their forward. He plays out on the wing, wears number 19. And that's a, I'll pull it up for anybody who hasn't seen it. I will pull it up.
He's bathing him.
Yes. And it's quite a fascinating story, because it was for like a charity calendar or something to that effect. And it's Messi 20 years ago, when he was, or 18 years ago, when he's 20 years old, bathing a 6-month-old Lamine Yamal. And as much as I thought Spain was going to win the game, I did send you that, Derek, and I said, but there's this. So if, maybe I don't know. Maybe that means something. It ultimately didn't. But here's the photo for everybody who wants to see. And you have baby Lamine Yamal there and Lionel Messi when he's 20 giving
That's
him
incredible.
a little baby. Yeah. And I texted you. I said, further proof we live in a simulation, because how does that even happen? What are the odds that they meet up in a World Cup for something like that? But as far as Messi goes, I think he will be motivated. I think it's going to, it always takes a few weeks or even a few months in this sense for him to think about what he wants to do. He's going to go back to the MLS with Inter Miami and play. So that's still exciting. And there's another great striker who just came into the MLS in Robert Lewandowski, who's now with the Chicago Fire. But, Messi is still arguably, it's very hard to argue against him as the greatest player of all time. And I think his legacy is going to be a guy who, and the World Cup is just like, if you get there, that's already an honor. If you get to the final, if you win it, that's amazing. And then to have all the club success he's had, it's just incredible. So I think he might be motivated to give it one last shot. But that all depends, because 3 years from now, he might just be like, I've done everything. Yeah. And the cohort that I came in with, they're all gone. It's just me, kind of last man standing. So, Manuel Neuer probably played his last World Cup for Germany. Cristiano Ronaldo played his last World Cup for Portugal. Luka Modric. So, yeah, I guess for Leo Messi, what else is there for him to accomplish? Yeah, he could go win another World Cup, but that's not it'll make him greater, but he's already the greatest kind of deal. So, Rockin says, can you really be the best of all time with just one World Cup win in this type of performance? Oh, of course. He scored 8 goals this tournament for Argentina. The totality of his tournament, he carried that team on his back. And yeah, the final didn't go their way, but when they won the World Cup last time, they went up against a better team in France, I would argue. And Kylian Mbappe is he might be the greatest player of all time one day. Who knows? But you shouldn't hold Messi being, 1 and 2 in World Cup finals against him. That's not a knock, because even though he is the greatest player, or has been the greatest player on planet Earth, this is part of the beauty and also the tough part about World Cup international football is you're bound by the structure of where you were born. So Sometimes the team's not always as good.
Yeah, it's going to be very fascinating to see what this outcome does for his career. Will he come back to compete in another World Cup? Obviously, he still is playing in MLS with Inter Miami. But, that photo you shared, Alon, unbelievable. That's like if Tom Brady, has a photo of bathing baby Patrick Mahomes from back in the day. But just your thoughts on the World Cup in totality, because I thought that, I don't know, maybe it's just recency bias, but I thought this was the most invested I've seen the United States watching this tournament. It may be because the event was held in North America. Everybody was very patriotic and happy about Team USA until they played Belgium. They got their ass kicked. But some of the matches we missed, Alon, we mentioned Argentina coming back and beating England, and Norway versus England prior to that. Just all of the matches, I don't know, like, Cape Verde almost beating Argentina. Just in your lifetime watching this tournament, did this feel like this was the most competitive it's been in quite some time, or maybe it's just the most fun you've had in quite some time watching it?
It was really fun. I've always had fun my whole life watching it, but this was extremely competitive, which was interesting because of the expanded field. You're expecting for a more watered down product, at least especially early. And yeah, we did have some stinkers in the group stage, but that happens in every group stage of every World Cup, at least as long as I've been alive. So, that's not new. I thought the games, there was so much drama this tournament. And we're very fortunate as the United States, as well as Canada and Mexico, to be able to host it. Incredible opportunity. And we got, 2 of the greatest superstars of all time to play probably in their last World Cups. I already mentioned Luka Modric as well. So, yeah, it was kind of perfect in a way. In the final, there's some people who say, oh, it was really ugly, or it was, it was one team dominating the ball and the other team doing everything they could to make sure the other team didn't score. And don't judge the tournament just on its final. The totality of the tournament it was extremely exciting. I mean, the amount of late second comebacks, the amount of penalty. I mean, in the first knockout stage, we had Paraguay going to penalties with Germany. I mean, so it was just exciting. It was exciting from start to finish. And, you know, maybe some of the wind got taken out of the sails with the way USA lost to Belgium. I understand that, but it was still a successful showing for the United States, even though, like Alexi Lawless said, they probably feel like they left a little on the table, and they did. But that being said, I mean, just from top to bottom, it was a great tournament. I have no complaints. Super exciting. I'd have to really start thinking about from top to bottom in my lifetime. So first World Cup I remember was 1998. If there's been one that's been more exciting, and right now my snap reaction answer is to say no. But maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, as Skip Bayless would say.
Yeah, I mean, for me, and I haven't watched a ton of World Cup action. I remember watching the final in 2006 between Italy and France. I remember watching in 2010 when I was in college. I didn't watch as much just 4 years ago because it was during the NFL season. Honestly, I'm going to watch American football over European football. But this was thoroughly entertaining, and I got to know the players a little bit more and their backgrounds, from Harry Kane to Erling Haaland. I was
No, you're
Mbappe. So yeah, it was fun to watch. Am I gonna, this is the problem with it, and I'm contributing to it. Am I gonna watch more MLS? Probably not. And I know the San Jose Earthquakes are great here locally, but it's just not a sport that I'm enthralled in. So that's my own personal thing. But I asked you this question when USA lost, and I don't know if it's because your opinion changes at all, but what do you think this tournament being in North America means for us going forward? Because I think it's the same thing when Team USA won in hockey. Are we going to start watching this sport more? Probably not. And it's a better chance of more Americans watching hockey than soccer, honestly. Is it different when the World Cup's on because you have the greatest players watching, or the greatest players playing? Yes, I think you have a better chance of that. It's in the summertime. You're not competing with, basketball or the NFL. Baseball's going on, but you could definitely, get away from baseball a little bit to watch the World Cup. I don't know if it's going to change a lot, but I think that the interest here locally, I should say, or I guess more nationally in the whole country, it grew a little bit, but I don't think it's going to change it on a large scale where you're going to see more Americans watch the Premier League or, more MLS. I just don't think it's going to change in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's going to continue to increase, but it's going to be very incremental. I think the biggest thing stopping this sport from getting really big in the United States is the way the youth system works. And it also goes into the output of what the team does on a national level as well. The youth system for soccer is completely broken in the US. It's $10,000 to $18,000 to play on a club travel team when you're 10 years old. I mean, give me a break. It's insane. So, I mean, here around the rest of the world, soccer is very much a sport for everyone. In the United States, it's a country club sport. And that's rough. Not only is that rough in terms of your talent pool shrinking, but it's rough in attracting people to become fans of the game. The other thing I would say, and I have to be careful about this because everybody's got their own fandom, but I cannot stand the hipster kind of attitude of American soccer fans. And they probably want to be called football fans. I will call them soccer fans. And I don't like it. Let's talk about technical and, the formations that are used. And let's talk about pressing triggers and passing networks. No one gives a crap. No one no one talks about the game that way unless you're watching like the PFF equivalent for soccer. And that's not look, I broadcast soccer. I love the game. I understand it. All these things. I don't want to tune in and hear that crap either. If there's a statistic or a strategy or something technical that gives insight and supports something fascinating in the buildup of a game, sure, I want to hear it. But you know what I want to hear? I want storylines. I want why the game's important. People crapped on the Fox desk for asking questions like, can Argentina win if Messi doesn't play at his best? You know what? That's a legitimate question. That's a question every broadcaster in the world would be asking. So I think our American soccer fans, and I'm not not talking about all of them, because we do have one. We have, I'd say the majority love the game and they don't think about it like it's a freaking data science project. But there's this other aspect of it. Baseball has the same issue where these fans who just turn people off because it's like, oh, I'm going to turn you don't really know what you're talking about, or you don't know.
Thank you, Alon. Thank you for saying that.
I can't stand it. And that's a problem that soccer has. So fix the youth system. Don't make it $20,000 a season for a kid to play. Number one. Number two, once you do that, all these country club types who like to treat it like it's an MIT graduate thesis will stop educating everybody about it as well. You can have both. Yeah, Rockin's right on. Nerds, it's true, though. I mean, I think they ruin the experience sometimes for other people. And I'm sorry. We can have those fun discussions, the soccer nerds. I love that stuff. But also, like, let's let the sport breathe. You don't have to silo it. It can be for everybody in America. I think that's what's holding us back.
There you go, man. Speak, brother. Damn, I love that. That was awesome.
Sorry. Yeah.
No, I love that you're passionate about that. Yeah, I don't have the answers because I don't watch the sport enough. So I'm not gonna be critical of it. I just know my reluctance to get into it. It's just that there's a lot of sports that I don't fully invest in, and people know that. They will listen to me on this podcast or listen to me on KMBR. I'm invested in football. That's what I love, and I love the NBA. I was more into baseball when I was younger, but I still watch the game today. But there's just some things that I'm not going to get into. And the World Cup, in years past, I'm probably not going to watch every single match, but this year I did. I tried to, at least. And it was fun going to bars and, watching it with people you don't even know and people rooting for Cape Verde. That's fun. Mm-hmm. So I want to see it grow. But I don't know if I'm going to help in that regard, and I could be totally honest with that.
No, I mean that's fine. But you just encapsulate it perfectly. You go to the bar, you watch it with people you don't know. Yeah. You watch it with your friends. It's a cultural thing. Like that's the beauty of it. And yeah, if you want to follow club football, great. That's awesome. I love that, and I want more kids playing and all this kind of stuff. I want the access to be better, but just in general, like it's a fun thing. It's a fun thing, and it's uniting, and it's rivalristic as well because you have old rivalries between countries. I mean, like geopolitical rivalries, England and Argentina, the Falklands War. Like that, fascinating that ties into a soccer match, but it does. So yeah, I mean, I think it's going to keep growing. I think the game just always is going to keep growing, but. Yeah, it's not going to overtake the NFL. It's definitely not going to overtake college football. I do have something, though, to pitch to you, Derek. And I've always had a dream about this. I want to know what you think. I would love to see the United States host a World Cup, and I would love for it. And it's not corporate at all, so it probably won't happen. But I would love for a large amount of the games to be in big college stadiums. I mean, imagine having a massive 110,000 person Kyle Field be filled up for a big World Cup match, or the stadium in Texas or in Austin, or the Big House or Ohio State. Like that would be really fun. The LA Coliseum, you'd have to put grass back in, but
right.
I think that would be really fun, and it would show a part of America that's like, hey, we are here for fun. That's what college is all about.
I wonder how soccer fans would react to being in Lubbock or College Station, because that's a culture change. Okay, so
I'm not saying every game, real quick. Yeah. Sorry, Derek. I'm not saying, but I think it would be fun to have some of the really, really big games where you could pack 105,000 Bryant Denny Stadium or something like that.
Yeah, I think it would be fun. I would enjoy it, but. So kind of, teach me on the connection. Why was this held in so many NFL stadiums? It was because of it wasn't the corporate sponsorship, because they weren't able to display the names of the stadiums. So why was this the case? It was because how big those stadiums are. And I mean, that makes sense. NFL, I don't know if there's a deal there because the NFL goes to Wembley and, all the other places overseas. But was there a reason why the NFL, I mean, all these matches were taking place at NFL stadiums?
I mean, those are our biggest stadiums in terms of being the highest quality. That's number one. But the other thing is hotel infrastructure. You need hotels. Yeah. That's why New Orleans is always so popular for the Super Bowl, stuff like that. I mean, those are the two biggest reasons. And they wanted to have it in cities that are the glamorous side of the United States. Now, I don't know how you feel about Dallas, but Dallas is a really nice place. I wouldn't go there for a World Cup match, but I also thought they balanced it out by having games at Arrowhead, which is really cool. And I want more of that Arrowhead feel in terms of games that we host rather than the only SoFi feel. And SoFi is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but like there's a balance there. And maybe the balance is a place like Seattle that kind of brings you both. But then again, that's a super expensive city to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a dumb question on my part because it totally makes sense. Like, of course, you're going to have it at big cities and big stadiums like that. But, Kansas City's an anomaly where it's a very college atmosphere. So I don't know how, like, Dallas is a big city. Even Kansas City's a big city. It's where the stadium's located, Arrowhead / Geehaw Field, in relation to Kauffman Stadium, is kind of like, in the middle, I wouldn't say in the middle of nowhere, but not a whole lot going on there. You go get barbecue really close by, Arthur Bryant's, but I think that those places. I think FIFA wants this in big populated areas, so I like the idea of them going to the big house and UT Austin, but I don't know if they're going to see the revenue with having at those locations. With ticket prices, yes. With business, as far as like, going to restaurants and everything. I mean, Austin would be a hell of a time to have a FIFA game there, a World Cup game there, but I don't know about that. Now, something that was brought up with NFL players while these games were going on, the grass fields being put out in NFL stadiums. And NFL owners want turf. We saw a ton of injuries, ACL tears, George Kittle's at the forefront of this whole thing on social media, being very outspoken. I don't think it should be that big of a deal. I think owners should have a heart a little bit. They cut corners on a lot of things. And if it's for the betterment of your players' safety, then by all means, spend a little more money. You definitely get that from having these World Cup games or Taylor Swift concerts at your stadium. So I think that, I'm not this type of guy that's going to be like, I hate billionaires, blah, blah, blah. I do think the owners can show a little bit more heart and sympathy to their players if they did put out grass fields.
I've never understood it. I mean, grass is always superior. The studies bear it out too. It's not like this is like a one-off thing. Like we have the data. We know that injuries, lower extremity injuries, especially ACLs, tendons, things like that, they go through the roof on turf as opposed to grass. Turf plays a little faster, but I mean, that's not even an argument. Grass is the way to go. The owners are cheap. And that's what it is. And it's disappointing because it's like, and there's colleges who are doing it now too, Derek.
Yeah.
There's colleges like the LA Coliseum. It's not hard to grow grass in LA. They put turf in. So I don't get it. I thought Mark Davis was hilarious about it because people are trying to get him to talk about it. And he's like, well, I've always, the grass stains and the smell of the grass. And
come on now.
Better for
come on now.
I grew up around football and I just couldn't imagine having it without grass. Whatever. Okay, Mark. But he is right about that. I mean, it is football, but he also says like it's better for the players too.
Well, I'm glad he's honest at least.
No, he is. And it's funny. The reporters are always trying to bait him into being like, so do you think like the NFLPA should, do you think? And he won't even touch it. And,
of course not.
I can tell you this. I bet the NFL's calling his ass every day saying, can you stop talking about how your stadium has grass because you're ruining it for everybody else. The NFLPA should be up in arms and they need to do whatever they can, like they're trying to get grass in all the stadiums. There might have to be a few exceptions, but even now it's hard to think of the potential exceptions.
Yeah. I don't understand it. I think that the NFL gets a bad rap on a lot of things, but this is one where I can't side with the owners on this one. So with the amount of players that were outspoken yesterday, I hope to see the change, but it's not going to be anytime soon, in my opinion. Speaking of something not happening anytime soon, dude, we're coming up on 3 weeks since LeBron was able to sign with a new team, and I thought that we would have something at this point. We did a lot of shows when I came back from Italy, a lot of rumors around LeBron James, had a whole week off, 10 days, we haven't done a podcast, and still nothing. And, God, there's so much reporting on this thing that it's not actual reporting. Like, Rich Paul can say whatever he wants to Shams Charania, but it's been the same goddamn thing every fucking day. Where it's like it's down to 3 teams And he's thinking more of the Eastern Conference. Now, could the Warriors jump back in if they get Anthony Davis? Well, no fucking shit. We've heard that for like so long now, so I'm over it. Okay? And I thought that LeBron was going to announce something when he went to this Fanatics Fest, whatever the fuck this thing is, where he's doing live recordings of Mind the Game and The Shop. He's drinking wine, and Tyrese Halliburton's, his host for it. And Tyrese asked the question, like, so we know anything about you and your next team? And he's like, I thought we talked about this backstage. I'm not bringing this up. And like, good on Tyrese to bring it up because that's all we care about. I wouldn't watch this thing if there wasn't any news attached to it. So bottom line is, we're talking about this because it's still in the news, but there is no news. It feels like this thing has changed every day. And before I left to go on vacation, it felt like the Cavs were the front runner. And it makes sense. Go back to Cleveland and your career where it started. He's got a whole documentary crew. It makes sense to go home. Then, before all the podcasts, the night before, a big push for him going to the Warriors. Mike Dunleavy Jr. did a interview at Summer League and kind of had a smile on his face. People thought like, ooh, is he, insinuating that something's going to happen here? And then we get Steve Kerr at a stoplight. Someone posted a video of, a random fan, going up to him, or not going up to him, but they were both at a stoplight in their cars, and someone goes, Steve, what's up, man? He goes, hey, what's going on? And he's like, hey, we getting LeBron? And he goes, oh, yeah, we got him. And I think that's Steve, honestly, just fucking around, having a good time. I didn't put, I know some people tweeted out like, ooh, does this mean something? I thought it was literally just Steve being the goofy personality that he can be at times. Yeah. And then since that time, it's kind of felt like Miami's kind of in the lead. So I don't know how you feel about this, Alon. I don't want to spend too much time on this because there really is no concrete evidence of anything. I'll just go off of what LeBron has said when he does these interviews. He said that the next place he wants to go to, he wants to play a lot of golf. His daughter is going to be a huge influence on this because she's living with him. I think she's 12 years old. So wherever he has to go, he wants to be around her. And I guess the Warriors make the most sense because she lives in LA, easy commute or whatever it might be. But the big thing that he said, and I forget where this was, but it was at the Fanatics Fest or whatever. But I don't know what show he was on. The biggest thing that I kind of come across, or the biggest thing I could gather from what he said lately is the next place he wants to go to, he wants them to practice championship habits every single day. And if you think about it, of course, that'll be the Warriors. They've won 4 championships, and Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Steve Kerr are all about practicing championship habits every single day. Can the Miami Heat do that as well? Absolutely. Giannis won a championship. He knows what to do. Eric Spoelstra knows what to do. Pat Riley knows what to do. So that one makes sense as well. Do the Cleveland Cavaliers practice championship habits? If you're going off of what Kenny Atkinson said down 0-3 in the Eastern Conference Finals, no. Analytics will not dictate championship habits. So, and you could say that with the 76ers too. Maybe Jaylen Brown's the one anomaly in that whole picture. But, yeah, I don't think that they're a part of the equation either. So that's the one thing that has me hopeful that the Warriors are still in this thing. I still think at the end of the day, it's going to be where the Warriors are going to have to trade for Anthony Davis to land LeBron James. And I kind of get it. Like, it's a good story, and the basketball happiness element makes sense for LeBron to play with guys that are in the same stage of life and NBA careers as him. But for him to win, yeah, it's probably not the best situation for him. So I still anticipate Cleveland. I know Miami's gaining momentum. But I say that all to say nothing's fucking happened. So I don't know when this is going to happen, and I have no idea when we're going to have resolution.
I love it. No, I mean, I go off on soccer, you go off on that. I mean, it's true though, Derek. I mean, this has been dragged out now for 3 weeks, and I think Rich Paul said, well, he already knows where he wants to go. No, if he did, he would have done it. I don't believe he really. I think he has an idea.
Yeah.
I think he has strong inclination, but he hasn't sold himself on it yet. And I don't know why that is, but I think the Warriors are just going to remain an attractive team, and they need to keep doing what they're doing, kind of laying low, not stirring up their own media for it or things like that. The other thing is, I mean, at a point, we got to the media loves trying to get inside his head. What's going into his decision process?
Yeah.
He's 42 years old, and he's the greatest. Can argue that he's the greatest player of all time. I don't make that argument, but you can argue it.
Yeah.
And he gets to decide when he wants to do things on his time. I mean, the New York Post, they had an interesting article, and total clickbait. The 5 reasons why LeBron James is taking so long to make his decision. Number 1, because LeBron can. Number 2, his goals have changed. Number 3, paradox of choice. Oh, there's too many choices. His family matters, and timing is everything.
That was a good show too. Family Matters.
Family matters. Yeah. And wherever he is going to go, he wants to know who's going to be the boss, like Tony Danza.
2 good shows of the 90s.
2 good, yeah. But anyway, like we all knew this process was going to play out in a kind of long manner. Probably we just didn't expect for it to be 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But this idea of, I'm sick of, the Warriors are not a front runner anymore. Oh, now it's the Heat who are front. No, none of these guys know who a front runner is. It's like what you said, Derek. None of them know. And I still think the Warriors have a really good chance at it. But you are right. If it's just about winning, the Warriors are not a bad option, but they're not the optimal option.
Yeah, no, they're not.
The optimal option would be Philadelphia. I think the Warriors are still ahead of Miami. Just because I think Miami needs a lot more than just LeBron James. I think they need other kind of backcourt help.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know the Warriors are not the guaranteed tailor-made thing, but if it is about basketball fun, if it is about being around people who prepare like champions, if it's about, having some greater legacy, to use that term, then the Warriors still fit. So I'm not counting the Warriors out. And the distance thing that you brought up with his daughter, I mean, that's a big deal. The Warriors make sense there.
Yeah, they do. I think he knows where he wants to go. I think there's a lot of things behind the scenes. I think there's roster manipulation. I think that we know what has to be done for him to go to the Warriors. I don't know. AD's not going to any of those other 3 teams that have been mentioned. He's not going to Cleveland. He's not going to Philadelphia. No. He's not going to Miami. So I wonder if he wants to go to the Warriors so bad, but he knows that it's going to be a bitch in the West. So do I give them a ton of time? And then if it's not, and then if we just run out of time here, am I going to Cleveland? Am I going to Miami? I think if I had to rank it today, it's probably where I would say number 1, Cleveland, 2, Miami, I guess 3, Philly, and then the Warriors 4th, because there's got to be a reason why Shams always mentions the Warriors on the outside looking in. But if they get AD, then things change. And I'll say this too. I think Shams gets a bad rap as far as I don't know. His job is not to be entertaining on television. He got this gig because he was a pest to general managers and he learned from Woj. Was Woj great on television? No, absolutely not. But we all react when Shams tweets something out. Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero by far are very good on television. It's just when they have to regurgitate the same thing over and over and over and over again on these shows, they could do it with a little bit of experience on television. When Shams does it, not to come down his road because God knows I'm so inexperienced on the radio and I mess up my words all the time, but it's just he's a hard listen. So when he says the same things over and over and over again, and he sounds like a robot just being told, what to say by Rich Paul. It's like, oh God, I'm so sick of this. And by the way, the thing that pisses me off the most, and this is my own problem, and these are my jackasses of the week today. Well, I guess we'll do more tomorrow. These people that go on social media and say, I've heard LeBron signing today. Like Patrick Beverley, shut up, dude. Like, what the fuck? Like he tweets out today, like, I heard LeBron James is going to make an announcement tonight. And then when he's on Yahoo Sports, asked about it, he goes, hey, listen, guys, sometimes you just throw things out there to get some social media attention, some clicks. I have this guy in my DMs. He's usually reliable, but I don't know. It might be this Monday. It might be next Monday. You never know. I'm like, why the fuck would you tweet anything out? Yeah. And then like this guy on Metal Media with Dan Lebitard saying like, hey, isn't this like he tweets out like, I hear LeBron's going to the Miami Heat today. And then he goes on Dan Lebitard's show and he's like, isn't this the industry we're in? Don't we tweet out things that we've heard? I'm tired of the fact that we don't have reliable sources anymore. and that's just on us as a society that we believe this bullshit. But in Rocket New Era says, "What do you mean these people? These fucking people on social media? I can't stand them." So, and that's on me for believing this bullshit. But we give a lot of attention to that. So I don't know. I guess I'm just over it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be happy when he signs, no matter who it's with. I want it to be the Warriors, but I'll be happy no matter who he goes to, because it'll be the end of it, and we don't have to worry about it. And we can actually not talk about basketball until we need to talk about basketball. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, Summer League barely got talked about because of this saga, right? I mean, it did get talked about, but LeBron James is still dominating all the headlines every single day in the NBA. So, you know, he's going to do what he does. I really don't think he's going to go back to Miami. Watch, tomorrow he'll sign with Miami. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think if he was going to go back somewhere, it would be Cleveland. And I still think the Warriors have a shot. I really do. And I know Anthony Davis strengthens it, but even without him, I still think they have a chance. And it's just about him looking at the situation and going, yeah, I could do that. And I, you know, it's going to be about how much he wants to carry, because if he does go to the Warriors, even if Anthony Davis is there, he's going to have to carry a fair share of the load.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, load management. Like, there's going to be, you know, back-to-backs where Greg Silver brought this up today on KNBR, where there's going to be a game in Orlando, a 4:00 tip, you know, West Coast time, and he's playing with, you name it. You know, Pat Spencer's not on the team anymore. Just like name whoever's on the Warriors these days. Will Richard and, you know, Yaxel Lindenberg, the MVP of the Summer League. And is he going to be up for that? And probably not. So do I think they have a chance? Yes, because he has respect for Steph and Draymond and Steve. But he wants AD. I think that's really what's holding this thing up. I think he wants to go to Golden State. He wants to go to the Warriors. But sorry, I think that's weird. Like when people say that, he goes to the Warriors. Golden State's a, you know, obscure thing. He just wants, out of courtesy to that organization and the friends that are involved with the team, he's having this thing prolonged out. So, and I don't think he gives a damn if Adam Silver goes on whatever and says he's holding up the schedule. He doesn't care about that.
Yeah, no.
So it's kind of like Aaron Rodgers at this point, where people are going to push this a little bit more because he's still the biggest name in the NBA, and that's saying something in itself. But just like Aaron Rodgers, this is maybe his last go for it. So he's going to take his time with it. So this could happen tomorrow. This could happen later this week. I do not know. I don't know anymore.
I only think one of the teams we really mentioned in this whole discussion about this, that we mention every time we talk about this, gives him a favorable and very legitimate path to a championship, but he's not going to go to Philly. I mean, it's not going to happen.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, and Cleveland, they're close too, but I just, yeah, that championship habits statement is very fascinating. But yeah, like we're keep saying about it, like we'll see. But I do want a resolution to it. Hopefully next week, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. Who knows? Yeah. But he is holding up the NBA schedule. But who cares? And that doesn't matter. That a network executive is. I mean, it's not that hard to be like, okay, perfect. Our cameras and crew go there that night. Like, you can figure that out.
Yeah, they can, and it's, you know, it's a star-driven league, so I understand why they want to know that information. Can you imagine though, like the Major League Baseball doesn't give a shit about that? So like, you imagine if like, well, we didn't know where Ohtani's signing for the sake of the MLB schedule. It's like, well, that sport doesn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. No, they don't. MLB baseball does not have to worry about that at all. Like,
no, they don't.
You'll have the biggest star, but like, you know, oh yeah, he got traded and he's playing on a random Tuesday with his new team. It's like, okay. Exactly.
Like where the NFL, they would like to know that information beforehand, but the league has moved on in a sense from Aaron Rodgers. People do still care about him, but there's other stars. There's Mahomes, there's Josh Allen, there's Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. So as long as they know they're still on their teams, they'll make the schedule. So we'll find out. And when LeBron James makes a decision, we will do a show. And regardless, we're going to do a show tomorrow because we missed a lot of fun stuff to talk about in the last 10 days. So we'll be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. For everybody in the chat right now, Don Peralta, Edison Zoo, what's going on, man? Edison Zoo, real quick, has a question for me. Derek, how's your father doing? Will he call 49er games this season? look, my dad had a long off season, and we'll talk about this more when he wants to share things. My dad's doing better, but I'll let him answer that question in time. So I'll just leave it at that because that's not my thing to discuss. So I appreciate the question, but I'm not going to discuss that at this time. So I appreciate you, though, Edison Zoo. Real quick, I want to bring this up because this happened to me when I got home last night. If you're when you go home, Alon, do you have a key to get into your apartment, or do you have an electrical code to put in?
Oh no, I have a key.
Okay, I would love to have a key that lets me do that. So I think a lot of apartments are going over to the smart key, whatever the hell you want to call it, where you punch in a code. You don't need actual code to open up your lock. So last night I've been home in 10 days, and I get home from my 4-hour flight from Houston to the Bay Area. And again, it doesn't seem that bad anymore when I had to do two 10-hour flights in 1 week going from the Bay Area to Italy and back. But I come back home and, long flight and everything. And then I punch in my code and, the robot voice goes, battery too low to operate or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I have to go downstairs. Thank God I came home at a reasonable time at 6:30, but my my front door battery wasn't working. So I had to go downstairs, had to talk to the woman working at the front desk. Thank God the maintenance guy was willing to come, on his day off, come to my apartment at 7:00 at night last night and change the battery and everything. But I just, I wish there was like an emergency thing on my goddamn lock where I can open it up and just use an actual physical key. Instead, I'm beholden to my battery being fully charged to get into my fucking apartment.
Yeah, no, that's my brother has that on his house. And when the keypad goes out, it's a nightmare because then it's like, oh, where's the key to go into the back door? Where's it? It's like some things are just really simple and you can just keep them that way. Keys work. Like, I don't know. I mean, anyway, that would be so irritating to me, Derek. I would lose my mind. I hate that stuff.
Believe me, there's a time and place where I would have been more belligerent and been like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I can't get in my apartment after that flight. And I learned that you gotta calm down. Things are out of control sometimes. So I just chilled, waited in the lobby for 30 minutes, and then, dude came to the rescue. Rocket Newer asks, Derek, what's the name of the NFL player gif where the key card wouldn't work? I want to say that's Jamal Adams going into the Jets facility.
Yeah, he's trying to swipe in. I think that's him. Yeah.
You know what the funny irony of that is? Jamal Adams wanted no part of the Jets. He, demanded a trade to go to the Seahawks. And God, we think about that, 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams. That was a little too much for the Seahawks back in the day.
And then the way he leaves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then George Kittle exposing him. They not a great cover safety, more of like a linebacker type.
Yeah, no. Great player though, Jamal. Great player. If you're listening. But good Raider too. But yeah, no, the key.
Okay, Raider this past year.
Yeah, the keypad thing. Oh, dude, that's brutal. After a 5-hour flight, going to the airport and everything like that, I would have been losing it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been like mean. I just would have been like, why is this happening to me? I guess my life just really does suck and I'm horrible and everything's wrong.
But the woman at the front desk was very understanding, just being like, yeah, that's got to suck when you come, you could be gone for a week and you come home and your front door's not working. I'm like, yeah, it happens. But nevertheless, everyone was very accommodating and helped me out. So thankful for that. Segue.
What a positive guy, Derek, because I would have been like, yeah, it happens to me all the time. Anyway.
Segue, a guy that's trying to get his key card access back in his old facility. Aaron Donald was spotted before you and I were off for 10 days. He was at the Rams facility. TMZ caught this where, it's not out of the norm for former players to go back to their team's facility and get a workout in. And he works out crazily still, posts videos of him lifting, and he's still a madman in the gym. But it's not weightlifting. It's football training. He's in pads. He's in shoulder pads. He's in everything, trying to get back in football shape. And every insider says this thing's happening. Just a matter of when. And I heard Peter Schrager on Pat McAfee saying, you and I had this debate on, would he come back? And be there for a little bit of time, come out of retirement in November, December, and be a rotational player. And Peter Schrager, who knows Sean McVay very well, says he's not doing that. It's going to be where he wants to be Aaron Donald of old. Now, does that mean he's going to get like the contract that he got of old? No. But does he want to be that guy, a 3 technique on that defensive line, and he's playing 60 snaps a game? He wants to be that guy. I'm sure they'll dial it back a little bit, but as far as him like coming in mid-season, it might be where he comes in mid-training camp, but no, he wants to be there for a full 17 games. So you're right about that one so far based on the reporting, but I think this is inevitable. I think that we're going to see Aaron Donald join this team, and this might be the most hyped up team of all time. I think it's a debate if they have the same amount of talent that the 2021 team did in the LA Rams. But if Aaron Donald joins this Rams team, I think Niner fans are going to be upset with me for the majority of the season because I think it's hard for them to compete with this team. But you never know. The coaching staff's incredible with Kyle, and Raheem Morris knows the Rams very well. But on paper, if they get Aaron Donald along with Myles Garrett and what they already have in that defensive line, that's going to be tough. That's going to be very tough.
Murderous division to be in. I mean, you're the Niners and you're looking up at 2 other teams, and you always have the potential to be pretty damn good under Kyle Shanahan, the Niners during this era. But the 2021, I think offensively, this team is more talented for sure. And yeah, it's older, but I think they can be explosive and put up a lot of points. I mean, that's how they almost got to the Super Bowl last year. Defensively, I don't know if they're as good, but they're still pretty damn good. And if they get Aaron Donald back, like even if you get 70% of what Aaron Donald was, that's at least a Pro Bowler, and it's like a borderline All Pro. So that's how great Aaron Donald is. Like if you get 70 or 75% of what he was, and you're the Rams, you got a freaking steal. So yeah, I mean, it looks like he's going to come back. I think he does. I agree. He does want to play all 17 games. What I want to know is what the timing is, though. Like, does he come back during training camp? Like you already mentioned, does he? Yeah. Is he around? Is during week 2 of preseason? Like all these kinds of things. It's all timing. But in terms of the Rams being the most hyped team, maybe like ever. Yeah. I mean, we use that phrase a lot, Super Bowl or bust. Usually we kind of say that either when massive splashes are made or during the middle of a season when a team has made a big splash and they're playing really well. But I mean, this has almost been Super Bowl or bust, Eric, since the Super Bowl ended and they weren't even in it. Like that's the expectation being put on the Rams. So I don't know. Look, the Niners could have a great season. There's no reason they can't if they can stay healthy, a knock on wood. But yeah, I mean, the Seahawks are the defending champion and they're looking up at the Rams. I mean, that's how good the Rams are, just on paper, at least, clearly better than everybody else. And Matthew Stafford doesn't look like he's going to decline. So, I mean, that team, pencil it in. They're going to be in the Super Bowl. I'll say that.
Damn. You never know. But yeah, I'm with you on that, Alon, where they have a ton of talent. Compared to 2021, offensively, I mean, think about it, dude. They had Cooper Kupp. They got Odell midseason. Robert Woods was on that team, but he tore his ACL. Van Jefferson wasn't bad as like their 3rd or even 4th guy. But this team, it's different where they're not like the 2007 Patriots. They're more like the 2010 Patriots where they had Gronk and Aaron Hernandez, and their tight ends, like, dude, it's insane the amount of tight ends they have. They got Tyler Higbee and Colby Parkinson, the guy they drafted last year. I forget his name. Davis Allen, I want to say, or something like that.
Yeah, they drafted a tight end last year as well.
They drafted a guy just like from Alabama, right? So they're going to go 13 personnel a lot. Can they stretch the field like they once could? Puka Nacua at times could be a deep threat. Devontae Adams is a good red zone guy. They could run the ball a little bit better than they could in 2021 with Corum and Kyron Williams. Defensively, I mean, they loaded up the secondary with Jalen Watson and Trent McDuffie. Their pass rush is going to be unbelievable now with Myles Garrett. If they add Aaron Donald, I mean, dude, Aaron Donald had some of his best performances against the 49ers where he had like 4 sacks or 3 sacks multiple times. So, and that 49er offensive line, as Rock and O'Hara says, is ferocious. Don't know if it's that terrible, but did they make improvements? No. And we'll talk about that a lot on this show or when I'm on KMBR about did they really separate themselves from the Seahawks and Rams? Yeah, I would say no. And that's the problem is, yes, they got better, but better enough to compete with those teams? Probably not. Rockin' New Era asks here real quick, if he comes back, Aaron Donald, how does the contract work? Does he get his old contract? Does it get restructured? He does not get his old contract. That's done. He was making the most money for a defensive player in the league at the time. So no, he does not get that back. He would, I think, make, I don't know, for a guy 2 years removed, he wouldn't make top dollar, but he would still make significant money, like to you or me, the average person.
Oh, obviously. Sure. No, I mean, he'll be making good money. I'd have to look at what the going rate is for.
He won't make $50 million a year like Will Anderson is making right now.
No, he's not going to be making that, but it's not going to be wild to see him in the 30s. That won't be crazy. I mean, maybe that's a little rich, but I mean, he'll be making good money, and it's a short term. This is the beauty of it for the Rams. It's a short term contract that's on the books for a year, probably not two, and then it's off the books.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Davis Allen, so because I was like, Davis Allen, no, he didn't play for Alabama. Who did he play? He played for Clemson, and that dude's a beast, and he's like their third string tight end.
Yeah,
I mean, 6'6" and runs like a 4.8 40, and it's insane.
Yeah, I mean, and Rocket says sheesh 30. I don't know. I think it'd be very interesting to see what he gets. Maybe like a 1 year, $25 million type of deal. But yeah, he will. I mean, he's based on name alone. I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's coming back for $2 million. I don't think he's making the vet minimum like LeBron might make with whatever team he signs with. But yeah, I think that this is going to eventually happen here, where Aaron Donald joins the Rams, and he would be 2 years removed from playing. And it's much different than, like, Lyle Alzado coming back with the Raiders in training camp, but that was like 5 years after the fact. He was in his 40s. He was trying to get healthy. He was trying to get huge. He took steroids. It ultimately led to his death, unfortunately. So different situation, obviously. But
and Rockin's right. Not 30 for one season, Rockin. Like, I think this is what I think they'll do. They'll sign him to like a 1-and-1. It's either going to be a one year contract, or it'll be like a 2 year contract that they're not expecting for him to complete, basically. And that could also be financial. But I was kind of looking around. I mean, maybe 18 million, 20 million. I mean, yeah.
And they still got to pay Puka, and we'll get into that next time. I want to go through some of these contracts that could be on the horizon for some NFL players. But yeah, they got to be mindful about their long-term future and who they're giving out contracts to. So, yeah, he's going to make money. It's just not going to be the same money he made back in the day. Real quick, Alon, before we get out of here, we're a week removed from the story, but I want to get your thoughts on it. You texted me, or we texted each other immediately when this happened. I was watching, I want to say it was Argentina, but it might have been somebody else playing at the time. My little brother is really into MMA, and he says, hey, do you want to watch the Conor McGregor fight? And I was like, I'll come downstairs once this World Cup game is over. And he goes, okay, cool. And the game's going on. I think it goes into extra time. And before I even go down there, he texts me and says, it's over. I said, what would happen? And he goes, Conor McGregor tore an ACL right when the fight started. I'm like, are you kidding me? And then I saw the video still while the World Cup was going on. I was like, oh my God. And it's still one of the most unbelievable things you'll see in sports, where it was hyped up. Conor McGregor's return. How long has it been since he last fought, Alon? 6 years?
So, about 6. It's either very close to 6 years or it's 6 years on the dot. 6 years. So,
and immediately he tries to kick Holloway, and you could tell he fucked up his leg. And then he tries kicking him on the ground. He gets up. He can hardly walk on it. And they call it. And yeah, a lot of people are saying, was he hurt before the match started? I think that he's honest in saying that it happened on that kick, but you never know. And he's, obviously 6 years removed from the game, or fighting. But I watched it. I came downstairs when my little brother was watching it, and just to see Joe Rogan interview Holloway after the fight, and he goes, well, we got our money's worth. And I was like, oh, dude, like, read the room. Yeah. Like, everybody's booing, and people lost money on that thing. And he says, like, well, I guess I had McGregor weak in the knees. And I was like, God, Get this guy off the stage right now. He sounds terrible. So just, you're into MMA, Alon, and just your thoughts on the fight itself and the outcome of probably one of the biggest disappointments in sports history.
I was not pissed. I was extremely disappointed though, and I felt really bad, because I watched it and I was super excited for it. It was a good card from start to finish. And McGregor had not fought in like five to 6 years. Yeah, I looked it up. So 2021 against Dustin Poirier, so 5 years. And yeah, I mean, he comes out and tries to, jump off his leg and throw a kick there. And there were some people on social media who were like, why do you start like that? I'm like, if you've ever watched Conor McGregor fight, he tries to start as fast as, he's a front runner when it comes to fighting. Like, he tries to start fast and hit you with things that you're not expecting, et cetera, et cetera. But it was devastating. It was hard to watch. And when it happened, I went, oh, are his feet really dry? Like, is the mat slip? Like, what happened there? And then when he got up and then fell again, I went, oh no, his knee's effed up. And then, they had to call the fight. And it was just disappointing because it was a hyped up card and the rest of the card was good, but everybody was there for one reason and one reason only. It was to see Conor McGregor and his comeback. And it was a massive event, a massive gate, richest gate, I think, and, biggest earning event in UFC history, and it ends like that. So yeah, my thoughts were just incredibly disappointed. I really hope, and I had texted you about this and I talked to other people too. I really had hoped that he wasn't coming in with a pre-existing injury. The official story is that he didn't. So we've got to take him at his word there. And I hope that's the case, but it is not uncommon for fighters to go into big money matchups when they are not at their best and do have real structural damage going on. Yeah. Someone mentioned Rock and said Mayweather Manny part 2. I mean, in the first Mayweather Manny Pacquiao fight, Manny Pacquiao came in with a bum shoulder. It was really bad. But this was worse. This was so much worse because Manny was able to fight. Conor was not. And so it was devastating. It was a big letdown. And yeah, Max Holloway saying I had him weak in the knee. That wasn't even funny. And you know what, though? It wasn't funny because it wasn't that it was funny because Conor got hurt. It wasn't funny because of the top dollar that all those people paid to go to the event.
Exactly.
Because Conor talks all kinds of crap. So I don't blame Max for being silly like that. But yeah, read the room. There were a lot of people who were just like, are you kidding me? I just, how many months worth of, bonuses did I just, drop on these tickets kind of thing for a trip to Vegas, all this kind of stuff. So it was tough. But the rest of the fight card was good. But yeah, I mean, that's the big story is he's probably done. And Dana White, there was a video yesterday or the day before that came out where he said his knee is effed up. Yeah. And that's Dana White's clinical assessment. And it's true. His knee is effed up. If that's happening, your knee is effed up. And yeah, that's probably it. I don't think they're going to fight a third time. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It's probably the biggest injury that caused disappointment. And if injuries happen, obviously, but like that moment, that hype, and then like it's done like that, very reminiscent of Aaron Rodgers with the Jets, but very different. McGregor, we'll see about his legacy, I guess, and his future in fighting. But yeah, that was unfortunate.
Rockin' says McGregor will fight Logan Paul in 2 years. Yeah, he better not fight the other Paul brother because he'll get smashed, I think, in a boxing match against him. But Logan Paul, that would be fun. I'd watch that.
Well, real quick, what do you make of Tom Brady getting into this thing with him where obviously the stuff is staged? I'm not buying it, but he smacks him at the Fanatics Fest. They're going back and forth with each other on Twitter. Is this going to end with Tom Brady fighting Logan Paul? And I get he's in Vegas now, Brady, but he's never going to walk away from a good payday. But at the same time, does Tom Brady need to do this? Future Hall of Famer in the NFL and having his own legacy. What are we doing here?
I read a scathing article about this. I didn't agree with it. It was someone's opinion piece, and it was saying how Tom Brady is basically a camera hound, and he needs the spotlight on him 24/7. And I went, oh, hold on here. He's Tom Brady. The camera's going to be on him no matter what.
Yeah.
I think he wants to be in the WWE. That's what I think he wants to do. Why else would he be going after Logan like this? And the way they're doing it, it's so kayfabe, and it's yeah. So I don't know. Like, is that what Tom wants to do? Does he want to have like a weird WWE run? They're not gonna have a real fight or even an exhibition, boxing match. But Tom Brady in WWE, that would be kind of interesting. I don't know what that means. Does he wrestle? Is he a manager? He's 50 years old or close to, What is he, 46 now?
I'll wait until he actually does this, but if he does, why?
What's he gonna do? What is he gonna jump off the top rope there?
Well, seriously, like he's very mindful of his body and not putting himself in harm's way, and avocado toast, and still going by the TB12 stuff. But this performance art stuff, like I don't knock wrestlers in WWE, but like, why does Tom Brady need to do this? Like, it's fun when John Cena or The Rock come back, but like Tom Brady, I don't get it. But you know what? To each their own. I try to be less judgmental and more curious. So I just like, why Tom? That's all. That's my whole thing.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, it seems like he's involved in everything now, and maybe part of that is I'm not playing anymore, and I'm insane in terms of I need to do everything now because I need something to chase or to do. And
it kind of feels that way.
If that's the case, then I would say, why don't you have an office in Henderson at the facility and you go do that every day? Yeah, I'll just lock you in a room with quarterback film 24/7. You just hang out with baby Fernando all day.
Honestly, that's what he should do, but he also wants to be a broadcaster. So he wants his cake and eat it too and do the whole damn thing. So very interesting with Tom Brady right now. Speaking of quarterbacks, we're going to come back tomorrow. So everybody in the chat right now, mark your calendars. We're back tomorrow. We're doing back-to-back shows. 6 o'clock, me and Alon again. And if there's LeBron news, we'll react to it, but I'm not going to hold my breath at this point. So I want to talk about he wants to bring the tuck rule to WWE. Yeah, thanks, Tom. We're going to talk about the Netflix quarterback show. I watched that while I was on vacation, the one, the latest season with Jaden Daniels and Baker Mayfield, Joe Flacco, and Cam Ward. So I watched all of that. Want to get to some potential not even some quarterbacks, but some potential NFL contracts that could be being, kind of thrown out this week. We'll see if, big names are getting contracts. Usually happens this time of year before we get to training camp. And I want to do an extensive pop culture catch up because there's a lot of stuff that I watched. Watched the amazing show Widow's Bay on Apple TV. Very good show. Started The Hawk with Will Ferrell. I'll get to that. Saw Toy Story 5 and saw The Odyssey. And I'll go into detail about that. No spoilers or anything, but I want to do a little breakdown of all of what I watched in the past week and a half. Along with a little Jackass of the Week, we'll do that as well. So we'll see you guys back here tomorrow. To everybody in the chat here, thanks to Ernie One. Thanks to Rocket Bear says I didn't like Toy Story. Hold on, Alon. Hold on.
Didn't like Toy Story, the new one. Is that right?
Oh, Copes told us. Copes is misleading. I'll give my honest review of Toy Story 5 tomorrow. But yeah, we got Ernie One. We got Rocket New Era. We got Don Peralta. We got Edison Zoo. And I believe that is it. All right, everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Alon, good to be back, my friend. Say what you always say.
Real quick, Ernie, you're watching X-Men 97 season 2. Is it cartoons? Is that cartoons? Are you a grown man, Ernie? Anyway, I'll just say this. Some people think cartoons are just for children, but that's just your opinion, man.